Welcome back, guys! Today we're diving into some of the darkest secrets about the USA that you probably didn't know. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. We're talking about government conspiracies, shocking experiments, and hidden truths that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Seriously, guys, this stuff is heavy. Get ready to have your mind blown, because once you go down these rabbit holes, there's no turning back. Let's do it! Okay, so, you know how we're always talking about being careful what you post online? Well, it turns out the government might be watching and listening to way more than we ever imagined. Like, way more. I'm talking about top-secret surveillance programs with names like PRISM and X-Keyscore. These programs collect our phone calls, emails, texts, even our internet searches. It's like something out of a dystopian movie, but it's real life. Think about it, guys. Every time you hit send on an email, you're basically handing over your private thoughts to the government. It's creepy, right? And the craziest part is, most people have no idea this is even happening. But trust me, it's real, and it's terrifying. This next story is just messed up. Like, seriously messed up. It's called the Tuskegee Syphilis Study, and it's one of the most horrific examples of government abuse in American history. For 40 years, the U.S. government conducted a study on black men with syphilis in Alabama. But here's the truly evil part. They didn't tell these men they had syphilis. They just told them they were being treated for bad blood. Can you imagine? These men were lied to and denied proper treatment, even after penicillin became widely available as a cure. They were treated like lab rats. It's just unforgivable. This experiment is a stain on our country's conscience. It's a reminder that even the government can't always be trusted, especially when it comes to vulnerable populations. Imagine this. You're an American citizen, just living your life. Then suddenly, your government declares you an enemy and throws you into a prison camp. Your only crime? Being of Japanese descent. That's exactly what happened to over 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. They were forced from their homes, stripped of their belongings, and imprisoned in desolate camps across the country. These camps were like prisons, surrounded by barbed wire fences and armed guards. Families were crammed into tiny barracks, living in squalor and uncertainty. It was a dark chapter in American history, fueled by fear and prejudice. It's scary how quickly fear can turn into hate, and hate into injustice. This is a story we need to remember, so we never repeat the mistakes of the past. Chapter 4. MK Ultra, the CIA's mind control experiments. You guys know I love a good conspiracy theory, but this is one of those things that's just too real, too disturbing. It's called MK Ultra, and it's the CIA's foray into mind control. I know, right? Sounds like something straight out of Stranger Things. The CIA was experimenting on people, trying to control their minds with drugs like LSD, hypnosis, even torture. They wanted to create the perfect spies, people who would do their bidding without question. The worst part? They often used unsuspecting people as their test subjects. Prisoners, mental patients, even regular citizens. Imagine being drugged and experimented on without your knowledge or consent. It's a terrifying thought. Chapter 5. Watergate, the scandal that shook a nation. In the 1970s, President Nixon was involved in a massive cover-up. It started with a break-in at the Watergate Hotel. The burglars were linked to Nixon's re-election campaign. The investigation revealed lies and abuse of power. Nixon resigned in disgrace. The scandal showed no one is above the law. Chapter 6. The Iran-Contra Affair, Arms Deals and Secret Wars. Get ready for another complicated government scandal, guys. This one involves secret arms deals, hostages, and a whole lot of shady dealings. It's called the Iran-Contra Affair, and it rocked the Reagan administration in the 1980s. Basically, the US government secretly sold weapons to Iran, which was under an arms embargo at the time. The money from these sales was then illegally funneled to the Contras, a rebel group fighting the socialist government in Nicaragua. It was a huge mess, a tangled web of lies and deceit that exposed the dark underbelly of American foreign policy. The Iran-Contra affair showed how far the government was willing to go to achieve its goals, even if it meant breaking the law and deceiving the American people. Chapter 7. The Flint Water Crisis, Poisoned Water in American Cities. The Flint water crisis is a stark reminder that even in America, basic human rights can be violated. In 2014, Flint switched its water source to save money. The new water source was polluted with lead, and the city didn't treat it. Thousands, including children, were exposed to high levels of lead. Lead poisoning can cause serious health problems, especially in children. It affects their development, learning, and health. Flint residents were betrayed by their government. The Flint water crisis is a story of environmental racism and government negligence. It should make us all demand better for our communities. Chapter 8: A History of Broken Promises. The Treatment of Native Americans. This is a dark chapter in American history, one that we need to talk about more. It's the story of the Native Americans, the original inhabitants of this land, and the centuries of injustice they've endured at the hands of the U.S. government. From forced removals and broken treaties to cultural assimilation and economic marginalization, Native Americans have faced a systematic campaign to erase their history and their way of life. Even today, they face disproportionate rates of poverty, health problems, and discrimination. It's a story of broken promises and a shameful legacy that continues to haunt us. We need to acknowledge this history, learn from it, and work towards a future where Native Americans are treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. Chapter 9: Regime Change and Puppet Masters. The USA's Involvement in Coups. You guys, the US government likes to present itself as a force for good in the world, spreading democracy and freedom. But the truth is, they have a long and disturbing history of interfering in other countries' affairs, often with devastating consequences. From overthrowing democratically elected governments to propping up brutal dictators, the US has been involved in countless coups and regime change operations around the world. Think about it. Who are we to decide what's best for other countries, and at what cost? These interventions often leave behind chaos, instability, and resentment towards the US. It's time to question our country's role in the world and demand a foreign policy based on diplomacy, cooperation, and respect for other nations' sovereignty. Chapter 10: The Prison Industrial Complex, Profiting Off Incarceration. America has the highest incarceration rate in the world. We imprison more people per capita than any other country. This mass incarceration is by design. There's a system that benefits from locking people up. It's called the Prison Industrial Complex. Private prisons, corporations, and politicians profit from mass incarceration. They exploit prison labor and treat humans like commodities. This system targets people of color, perpetuating poverty and incarceration. It values profit over rehabilitation. We need to rethink crime and punishment and focus on rehabilitation and restorative justice. Outrow, stay woke. Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into hidden truths. This is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. There's so much more to uncover, so many more secrets to expose. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay woke. See you next time.